Uh-oh, they're going to get a lot of trouble for that one. The South Park episode debut after their deal announced with Paramount. Good morning. Relax. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. Glad and thankful to have you here. Damn it, spoilers. I was planning to watch today on lunch, says BB for Liberty. What's up, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Joni Rankin's here. Amy J. East, Kermode Bear, L Dubs, all of our friends. Nice to see you guys. Don't forget to click the like button as you sit down in your seats there in the auditorium. It's in the front of you, right? Sitting behind the person who is sitting in front of you. It's right in their seat. You see the button right there. You just click, boom, hit that like button. And if today's your first time here watching the Wake Up America show live here in the auditorium, there's a follow button right next to it as well. Click the follow button and join the show Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. We'll be glad to have you become a regular guest. All right. We're the only show that makes more sense than your average government policy, and we move faster than Biden stumbling on Air Force One stairs. Today we're asking a terrifying but necessary question. Who is still defending capitalism in America? Because it ain't the left. They're electing literal communists to city council who think property rights are white supremacy. And it sure ain't the new nationalists on the right. Some of them are so busy smashing up Starbucks for flying rainbow flags, they forgot what capitalism even is. Smashing it metaphorically. And their stock prices destroying beer companies. We're going to dive into the cultural and political pincer movement, from Marxists in New York City to tradcaths cheering for autocracy on YouTube. We're also going to get the scoop from Camellia, our lovely rare Camellia. She's our cultural correspondent, about AI having mental breakdowns, women-only dating apps, and an army of fake babies at a Southern Doll Expo. Yes, you heard me. $8,000 fake babies. And finally, a special guest you know and love, DC Pensack on X. That's the lovely Daniela Pensack. She's the firebrand host of Culturama. Joins us after going toe-to-toe in a culture war debate against Mehdi Hassan. Spoiler alert, one of the other panelists called himself a fascist and then passed the hat for donations. Somehow it worked. Well, there you go. There's money in it. Today's show is going to be funny. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be philosophical. Aristotle said, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. But I say, the more you listen to this show, the more ammo you'll have when the mobs come for your business, your country, or your common sense. Let's rock. Vasquez. Let's rock. All right, so capitalism besieged, a war from both sides. I was reading John Stossel's piece yesterday. Let me tell you something, folks. When you hear the phrase bipartisan consensus, usually you should duck for cover because it means both parties are about to rob you blind. But today there's a new kind of bipartisan movement. And it's not a policy, it's not a bill, it's a feeling, it's a vibe, a chant echoing from city councils and MAGA forums alike. Death to capitalism. From the radical left to the reactionary right, suddenly capitalism is everyone's favorite punching bag. Let's start with the left, where city council races in places like Denver and Seattle and even smaller college towns have turned into full-blown Marxist cosplay. According to Fox Business, these new socialist-leaning candidates are coming into office not just with slogans, but with spreadsheets. They're targeting landlords, banning development, regulating rent, regulating wages, regulating speech. And who are they blaming for everything from potholes to poverty? You. Yeah, you. The taxpayer, the business owner, the person who didn't default on their student loans. Womp womp. Womp womp womp. Mr. Wonderful's trying to get a meeting with one of them. Apparently they're afraid to talk.
Fringe progressives like AOC, squad-like members like this character Zohran Mamdani are spreading their tentacles. If all of a sudden he takes New York, and even if he can't implement his policies, but he's just, a flailing socialist and he's leading this city, that really sends a pretty strong message.
It does, and I'm a policy guy, and I have to disclose something. I'm here in New York for 2 days. I reached out to his people last night and again this morning. I asked for a face-to-face meeting while I was here. Obviously, he's not here. He's in Uganda right now. But I also got a message back saying no interest in meeting, which is, for me, at least his people said that. I don't know if it's got to his ear yet. I'm quite shocked. He should take as many meetings with people like me as he possibly can. I want to find out how much of his policies are rhetoric and how much are reality in case he becomes mayor. This is a very important city for me and all investors. I would think that he would want to listen at this point because I feel I have some very good advice for him, particularly on his policies around real estate and housing and development of technology and data centers and all of that in New York and New York City. But I was very disappointed. And I expect it's fine to blow me off. I don't think it's good for him. Not a good move, in my view. And I hope he hears this now.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do too, right? So the left says that they want equity, but what they really want is control, price control, property control, employment control. And when small businesses fight back, they're called reactionary fascists for wanting to make payroll without being sued. But here's the twist. It's not just the red flag waving hammer and sickle crowd. No, it's not. It would be bad enough if that were all it was. But it's not just them, right? No. Enter the new right. This Catholic, oh God, yes. Catholics never do that. That goes on and on. We're going to talk about that with Daniela Pensack later. According to John Stossel, the very people who used to read Milton Friedman in college are now binge watching Steve Bannon on Rumble and fantasizing about industrial policy, cultural tariffs, and I kid you not, punishing Chick-fil-A for being too woke. What happened? What happened? Once upon a time, let me tell you guys about the old days, right? The right used to say, get the government out of my wallet. Now it's get the government into Disney's business strategy. We used to fight over how little government should do. Now the right wants to use it like a cudgel to punish companies that don't praise Trump on every package of Oreos. Here's the bottom line. Both sides have embraced authoritarian economics, just with different dress codes. So the left wants socialism in the name of equity, and the new right wants statism in the name of tradition. And they both want to tell you what to buy, how much to charge, and who you're allowed to do business with. The closer the collapse of the empire, the crazier its laws, Cicero once warned. Welcome to the legislative loony bin, baby. We are there. So let me say something unpopular, but necessary. Free enterprise it's not your emotional support animal. It doesn't have to agree with you. It doesn't have to wave your flag. It just has to let you build something without begging the state for permission. And the more both sides lose faith in the invisible hand, the closer we get to the visible boot. Stick with me. We're going to talk this morning about this. We're going to talk about Hillary Clinton's collapse, Obama's coup, Gabbard's grenade. We've got Camelia Petersen joining us live this morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. You're not going to want to miss that. We've got Camelia to talk about the rise of $8,000 baby dolls. Why people are buying $8,000 lifelike baby dolls. And there is a new app. It's the #1 app in the App Store now. It's called Tea. It's an app where women get together to give each other relationship advice, which as you can probably guess, is not going well. So we're going to talk about Hillary Clinton's psycho-emotional roller coaster, Vladimir Putin playing wait and blackmail, and Trump accusing Barack Obama of treason. With all the subtlety of a WWE promo. Strap in, folks. It's going to be a great show. Don't forget, we do have bonus content. If you guys would like to see today's bonus content, that's our little mini documentary that we produce every day. And if it doesn't get unlocked, it goes away and nobody gets to see it ever. But if you guys want to unlock the bonus content, it's easy. You could do it in one of two ways or both ways. You can go to Rumble and drop a Rumble rant, and all of those rants, if they add up to $75 raised by the end of the show, that will unlock the bonus content. Or it can be a combination of two things. You can also visit the Griff Shop, as we say, at forlibertyshop.com. Somebody went to the Griff Shop yesterday and bought a whole bunch of Caucasians merch, which is kind of like our send-up for the Redskins team name. And they are loving themselves the Caucasians men's baseball jersey, the team magnet, the crew neck sweatshirts. It is going to be cold out. But what I wanted to bring up to your guys' attention were these champion jackets, because actually, let me just go. The easiest place to find this is on the page where it got the 5-star review. We've got 316 reviews from people who have written reviews of our products. And out of those 316 reviews, 4.8 out of 5 stars. So we're doing pretty darn good. It's not to say that we get it right every time. As you can see, we got 1 star 9 times, 2 stars 2 times, 3 stars 4 times, 4 stars 13 times. Look at that, 288 times out of 316 reviews. And this is all third-party verified. But I wanted to bring this to your attention. Robert Capon really loved this one. Our embroidered USA champion jackets. Here's the thing. It's going to be cool out pretty soon, and it's just been such a rainy year anyway. Wouldn't you really love to have a nice patriotic rain jacket? And here's the thing. People don't know about this product in our shop because it's super high quality. It is wind and rain resistant. So it's got a nice little rain resistant coating on it. And it's got the big front kangaroo pocket, so you can throw all your stuff in that in the front of you. And if you're like me, if you have like a baby, which Hazel was 1-year-old yesterday, thank you guys for all the Rumble rants on that. If you guys have to like hold a baby on your side, or you got to hold her like that, or if you got like a lot of stuff you got to carry, then maybe you want to have a bunch of stuff you think. Because in the pockets, sometimes like you can't fit everything in your pockets, or you don't want to like have bulges all over your pants. If you have this nice jacket, which I think is a good price at $59.99, the American flag champion jacket is available. It's got the hidden zipped pouch pocket, and you can pack up the whole jacket in its own zipped pouch, right? It's got the bungee draw cord hood and bottom hem. It's got elastic cuffs, and it's, again, champion jacket, so it's high quality. Look at that. Different colors. I like the gray one, gray, kind of a grayish blue. And then we've got black, of course, and I think we have 3 different colors. See, black, navy, and graphite, as they call it. Yeah, I think I'm going to get the navy jacket. So get yours today, and we'll be well on the way to unlock that bonus content, either Rumble Rants or in purchases at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com. How are you guys doing? Greetings from the thumb knuckle of Wisconsin. Nice to see you, St. Selma. Welcome to the show. Good morning, Pineapples. Glad to see Thormock is here, along with Amy J. Ease.
Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, Pineapple.
Looking very good, very nice. Donald Trump, very optimistic about the future of artificial intelligence in the United States.
Whether we like it or not, we're suddenly engaged in a fast-paced competition to build and define this groundbreaking technology that will determine so much about the future of civilization itself, because of the genius and creativity of Silicon Valley. And it is incredible genius. Without question, the most brilliant place anywhere on earth. America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. We're going to work hard. We're going to win it. Whether we like it or not.
Hold on, I got another clip on that topic.
As we push even further into this exciting frontier, let us never forget that all of this prosperity and progress has come from the culture of freedom and hard work, merit, ambition, and risk-taking passed down from one generation of Americans to the next. Silicon Valley rose to wealth, fame, and glory by exemplifying these values, and it will win this race not by rejecting them, but by embracing them like they have never been embraced before.
Yeah, I think it's exciting what's happening with artificial intelligence right now. A few weeks ago, when my father-in-law and his wife were in town, they actually were really interested in artificial intelligence. So I gave them a brief overview of how I use it here for the business, which, as you can see from what you're looking at right now, a lot of this has been created with artificial intelligence. See my little Minecraft Thomas Jefferson down there in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. The Wake Up America show logo up there that you can see, we used it to create that. And they were sitting down asking me to give them a tutorial, which I was glad to do, which gave me a great idea, which was to put together a course to teach you how I use AI to make all these graphics and videos and things that I do here for the Wake Up America show, which is what will be coming soon, probably about 14 days. So a couple weeks from now, you guys will see the debut of my premiere course. And I'm going to split it into 3 courses. There's going to be 3 artificial intelligence courses that I'm going to lead. There will be the digital media course, which will teach you how to do all the graphics and the videos and the basic things. Then there's going to be a business course, which will teach you how to use AI to supercharge your business, or if you're interested in starting a business, how it can help you run your business operations. And then later on down the line and closer to campaign season, I'm going to release a AI for campaigns to teach you how to use AI to supercharge a political campaign or a campaign to promote an issue. So keep an eye out for those AI courses. Luke Sacker says, hey, Austin, which AI platform do you use? I'm going to I use about a dozen of them, Luke. So keep an eye out for that course, because I'm going to list all of the platforms that I use in that and show you how to use them to give you a broad overview. And there's going to be a subscription level on top of it that will allow you to have access to two private trainings, so that if you guys have questions about how to use the AI and you're just like, God, I'm stuck, I need to just reach out to Austin, you'll have me there as your sort of personal assistant to be able to help you with the AI to accomplish whatever it is that you do. So I think it'll be valuable. We'll see. Just keep an eye out for that. We've got a lot of work to go to try and get that out. Tulsi Gabbard says if Russia was trying to influence the election like Democrats said in order to boost Donald Trump, they'd have released the most damning information on Hillary prior to the election. And boy, it was quite damning.
I think the underlying point there is that we understand from intelligence what Russia said that they had. And the important point here is that if they were trying to influence the election, as President Obama and James Clapper and John Brennan, everybody said they were doing in order to support Donald Trump's election, they would have released the most damning of that information, some of which I detailed here. You'll find the rest in the report, prior to the election to help Donald Trump win. They specifically withheld what they had on her, the most damning information, because they thought that she would win the election. They had plans to release it just prior to her inauguration to, again, sow discord and chaos in America. I think that...
There we go. Interesting. New documents dropped this week, declassified by Coconut Milk Mommy, Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, show that Russia's intelligence service knew Hillary Clinton was in worse shape than a Waffle House kitchen at 3 a.m.
The report goes into great detail about the information that Russia and Putin had on Hillary Clinton, which included possible criminal acts like secret meetings with multiple named U.S. religious organizations in which State Department officials offered, in exchange for supporting Secretary Clinton's campaign for the presidency, significant increases in financing from the State Department. They also had documents that showed the patronage of the State Department to State Department employees who would go and support Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. There were high-level DNC emails that detailed evidence of Hillary's, quote, psycho-emotional problems, uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, and that then Secretary Clinton was allegedly on a daily regimen of heavy tranquilizers.
What? That's insane.
Then CIA Director Brennan and the intelligence community mischaracterized intelligence and relied on dubious substandard sources to create a contrived false narrative that Putin developed a quote-unquote clear preference for Trump.
That's crazy. So we're talking heavy tranquilizers here. We're talking about uncontrolled fits of aggression, anger, and cheerfulness. Yeah, actually, the Kremlin had emails diagnosing Hillary with bipolar karaoke syndrome. But here's the kicker. This is what's so weird about it, is that Putin didn't leak it because he thought that she'd win. and he wanted to use it later to blackmail her. That's not meddling. That's hedging. That's geopolitical insurance fraud. Meanwhile, Barack Obama and the top DNC officials were extraordinarily alarmed about Hillary's condition. They knew, they just didn't tell you. It was weekend at Hillary's, and the media played Bernie the whole time. And here's where the rage hits. Instead of just admitting the truth, the intelligence community decided to go full fan fiction. John Brennan, James Comey, and Andrew McCabe, our national security adventurers here, chose to include the discredited Steele dossier in their 2017 intelligence report, even though it read like something that was scrawled on a bathroom stall at the Clinton Foundation. According to Gabbard's release, they literally shrugged when questioned on its veracity. Brennan's response was, yes, but doesn't it ring true? Doesn't it ring true? Doesn't it ring true? What are you talking about? Ring
no
true?
offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
That's not intelligence. That's improv. So now Trump is calling it what it is. It's a treasonous conspiracy. And now he's saying it's time to go after people. He even posted a video of FBI agents fake arresting Obama while YMCA played in the background, of course, which honestly is the kind of civic restraint that I'd expect from a man who once tweeted about microwaves spying on him. So let's be clear here. Is it treason? Constitutionally speaking, no, not unless they were giving aid directly to an enemy nation. Is it a corrupt and partisan abuse of power? Absolutely. And anyone with a spine or a subscription to Reason magazine should admit it. But here's the caution. If Trump starts prosecuting political enemies using the same logic the left used against him, then have we really learned anything from all of this? We just swapped uniforms and we moved the show to a different arena, right? So the best revenge, Marcus Aurelius wrote, is to be unlike him who performed the injury. But in American politics, we don't do stoicism. We do sequels. So buckle up for Russiagate 2. This time, it's personal. Yawn. Let's see the Epstein list, Mr.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
Have you
Okay, all right. So, don't worry, guys. Nothing to see here. Welcome to the Wake Up America Show. I'm your host, Austin Petersen. Glad and thankful to have you here. Click the like button if you haven't already. Andy Opperman, RVolt24, Wygo Wildman, and Luke Sacker. Nice to see you guys here. If you haven't watched the Wake Up America show before, I'm Austin Petersen. This show is 5 days a week, Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. That's the live stream show. Help us unlock that bonus content. We'd love to share with you our 5-minute mini documentary, and we'd love to share with you our full-length documentary. Austin, when's the documentary coming out? Well, guys, it's looking beautiful. We had our first big editing session just this week on the Battle of Athens documentary, and boy, oh boy, is it looking fantastic. I'm so excited to share with you guys some of the footage when it's ready. We'll be able to put a trailer together for you, and then we will begin the process of marketing, which will be a process, of course, to try and get as many eyes on this work of art as we can. So help support the Wake Up America show in our final phase of documentary production, which is the editing and the special effects and all of the graphics and all that. It's going swimmingly, but of course, we'd love to have your financial support so that we can continue to produce excellent content like that. And our little mini documentaries are a great way to help us to monetize our show and our network so that we can continue to bring you content just like this. You can either drop a Rumble rant like where you are right now. You can either drop a Rumble rant or you can go to 4libertyshop.com. That's the number 4libertyshop.com and help support the Wake Up America show. Ruby says he's excited for the doc. Well, Steven, you're going to love it, bud. entire lifetime of skills and talent that started when you and I were playing guitar and singing together as young high school boys, now to my own full-length feature documentary. I'm very excited to share with you, bud. Liberty Tonight Show is here with us, as well as Y2 Joe, who's one of our big supporters. Bruce Burtwhistle as well. We're glad to have you guys here on the Wake Up America show. So Clinton, Obama, treason, Russiagate files, the new Russiagate files. Like Tulsi Gabbard declassifies documents that Hillary Clinton was mentally and physically unfit in 2016, and apparently Putin had the receipts, according to the DNI, essentially. So Trump is now calling this treason by Obama and Brennan and Comey. Here's a philosophical question for you. Can a republic survive when its own government fakes intelligence for political revenge? I want to hear your thoughts on that one. You can send us a text anytime on any subject at 573-319-1586. The text lines are open. And again, you can text me anytime you like on any subject, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this question. Can a republic survive when its own government fakes intelligence for political revenge? So Marcus Aurelius, who I'm really drawn on heavily today, if it's not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. The deep state did both, and now they're trying to memory hold the damage. We've got all that and more here on the Wake Up America show, but we're going to briefly go to a commercial break. When we get back, we've got lots more on Russiagate, the fall of the pro-capitalist right, the future of the new right, all that and more when we get back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Don't go away.
Here at Alligator Alcatraz, the fence keeps them in. But slip up, and you're on my plate.
Looks like breakfast is making a run for it. We got 3 hot meals trying to check out early from Alligator Alcatraz.
They can splash, they can sprint, but there's no escaping Alligator Alcatraz. Caught 2. The third? Huh. The swamp's got its own way of catching runaways.
Mama was wrong. Gators don't need toothbrushes. Just an honest job making America great again.
This summer isn't about sunscreen and safe spaces. It's about liberty, laughs, and looking like a red, white, and righteous badass. Welcome to the Summer of Freedom collection. Beach towels bold enough to trigger a liberal arts professor. Tank tops louder than a 4th of July fireworks finale. And mugs that scream, "Don't tread on my caffeine." Whether you're storming the sandbar or just grilling like George Washington with a Bluetooth speaker, this is the gear that lets everyone know. You're not here to play woke. You're here to play cornhole with conviction. So crack open a cold one, fire up the freedom, and rock the merch that makes communists cry. The Summer of Freedom is here. And it's absolutely unapologetic. Patriots, listen up. The sun's out, the shades are on, and the Gulf of America is wide open for business. This summer, don't show up to the beach looking like a landlocked liberal. Gear up with the Gulf of America collection. Towels, tumblers, shirts, hats, fanny packs, because nothing says freedom like cannonballing into liberty with style. Whether you're grilling burgers, catching waves, or just flexing on social media, do it draped in stars, stripes, and pure American greatness. The Gulf of America isn't just a place, it's a lifestyle. Hit 4libertyshop.com and roll into summer like the Founding Fathers just handed you the keys to the coast. Beaches, BBQs, and bald eagles approved. You should too. Head over to 4libertyshop.com and get your Gulf of America gear. Summer is coming fast. That's 4libertyshop.com. Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that in 2025, men can get pregnant, waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have drag queen story hour for toddlers. Pronouns are mandatory. And Harvard can't define woman. Oh, And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense, but you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop for libertyshop.com. Picture this. It's 1776. Thomas Jefferson is hunched over his desk at Monticello, ink-stained fingers, writing the most radical document in human history. Do you really think he was sipping Starbucks? No. He was drinking something bold, something black, something brewed strong enough to fuel a revolution. That's the spirit behind Founding Flavors, our signature line of liberty-fueled coffee. No soy froth, no climate guilt, no corporate slogans. Just real coffee, inspired by the men who wrote freedom into existence. Every cup is a quiet protest. Against mediocrity, against tyranny, against bad coffee. So this morning, skip the globalist brew. Grab something worthy of a free man's sunrise. Founding Flavors. Now brewing at forlibertyshop.com.
Just own up to it. Why doesn't he just do that?
Own up to what? What the Wall Street Journal calls unverified hearsay? No. Why should he go out there and have to own up to anything? He's not ever been credibly accused. The Washington Post ran a fact check on this the other day and said, we're confident there's nothing about the president. If there were, we would know about it. Unverified hearsay is what he's dealing with, and you want him to go out and fight this ghost? It's ridiculous. Democrats are alleging that he is somehow part of Epstein's wrongdoing. It's been happening all day long. This is the whole point of this fiasco, is to try to create a narrative and what he calls correctly a hoax that he is somehow part of it. It's exactly what they did about Russia, and they're doing it on Epstein.
If he on the younger side, girls on the younger side.
And that comment and what you just said are two different things. So if you're alleging criminality, go ahead. Say it directly. Say it so we can all hear it.
I am asking you a question that you are pivoting on. The question I am asking you is, if Donald Trump knew that Epstein was having sex and preying on underage girls, is that wrongdoing?
Well, I think if anyone would have known that, but I don't know that he knew that because
I don't know that either.
He disowned it. But you're raising it. If I knew that you ran over someone out on the street, would that be criminal wrongdoing? You're raising it because you don't know if it's true, but you're saying it out loud because you're trying to create your
I'm saying it out loud because I think that's what a lot of people are wondering, because he does. The man does protest.
This is what we say when Anna's wondering.
All right, let me. Democrats have been trying to take down Trump with documents that they never used to take down Trump.
I'm sorry, they crippled almost his entire first term by convincing one half of the country that Russia stole the 2016 election. And Democrats still have it at all. Tonight, Fox News did a poll.
Speaking of accurate sources.
Are you calling into question the Fox News polling? Because it's generally considered to be very good. So here's the deal. They have his job approval. He's a little underwater. Of all the people who said they approve or disapprove of Donald Trump, only 1% mentioned Epstein as the reason. And the whole 1% was either Democrats or independents. This fantasy that Republicans or MAGA, nobody in the Republican Party is worried about this, and most of America is.
All right, folks, you want the truth? It stinks, not metaphorically, not in some abstract political sense. I mean, it literally reeks like a landfill of broken promises and sealed files sitting in the July sun on Constitution Avenue. Good morning. Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. Glad and thankful to have you here. We are $23 raised towards the bonus content goal. Thank you to James. We're very grateful to have you here today. If you want to support the Wake Up America show and our mission to help us to grow a Liberty network, then drop a Rumble rant or go to forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. We'd be glad to have you become a regular guest as well. Make sure you click the like button and follow if it's your first time watching the show. All right, let's get it. The biggest scandal of our time, the Jeffrey Epstein operation, continues to rot from the inside out. And now, we find out that Donald Trump's name is in the files, and they're not going to release them, according to the Wall Street Journal. So let's walk through this slow, because this is what betrayal feels like. Back in May, Attorney General Pam Bondi walks into the White House with her deputy and tells President Trump, your name shows up multiple times in the Epstein files. So do hundreds of others. it's mostly hearsay. We're not releasing anything else. Also, there's child porn involved. And just like that, the files get shelved. Public trust crushed. And a man who built a movement promising transparency suddenly sounds like every other suit in the Beltway. Now listen, Trump is not accused of a crime. He wasn't named as a predator. He was mentioned probably in a calendar entry, a party list, maybe a casual anecdote. Let's not pretend that being in the same room as Epstein makes you guilty. But here's the part that kind of sticks in my craw here. It's the secrecy, the backtracking, right? The silence. Trump said he'd release it all. He said, Pam's got the list on her desk. He said, we're going to expose the elites. And then suddenly it's, well, I defer to the DOJ, right? Now, I don't know if that's caution or cowardice, but I'll tell you what it ain't. It ain't justice. That's right. Because here's the reality. If Trump wanted to release everything, he could have ordered it. He's not a campaign pundit anymore. He's the president of the United States. Again, if his base wanted the truth, he owed it to them. And now the same base, the ones who campaigned, donated, knocked doors, posted memes, lost friends, they feel like fools, many of them. And rightfully so. Thank you to Andy. Says the Democrats' willingness to spread any lie about Trump, coupled with the fact that they had these files, the entire Biden admin, makes it a hard reach to say there's anything there on Trump. Thank you, sir. We're at, let's see if I can put this up on there without wasting too much time. We are at $43 raised towards the cash symbol $75 bonus content goal. There we go. Thank you very much, sir. Look at that. Can walk, talk, and chew bumble. No, I can't, apparently. Chew bubblegum at the same time. We've got Camelia Petersen joining us live here in 20 minutes on the Wake Up America show. We're going to talk to her about these creepy $8,000 real dolls. Why, and talk about why people are buying $8,000 LifeLike dolls. Look at these highly realistic baby dolls. This is a global phenomenon. Collectors shelling out for luxury baby gear and doting on their reborns as if they're human children. If anybody owns one of these things and they've got a bunch of gear that they want to donate, well, I guess it does. The baby doesn't age, so you're going to keep that same gear forever. That's a little strange. Bumblegum. It does hurt. Glad to have Luke Sacker here on the Wake Up America show. So we're going to talk to Camelia Petersen about that. We're going to talk about the #1 new app on the App Store, which is called Tea, which is women sharing relationship advice with one another. And it's about as disgusting and terrible and horrible as much as you could see. Uncle Smitty says, link for your coffee sponsor, please. Yes, sir. Some people like to say they just go to thegriftshop.com. I like to say 4libertyshop.com. The number 4 libertyshop.com. For those who are not aware, we do have fantastic coffee at the Liberty Shop. If you see up there at the top of the screen, if you're on a browser, you see the coffee button, Revolutionary Roasts. You can shop now. You can also bundle and save. But check out the reviews on our coffee. People friggin' love it. #1 seller in our shop is the Jeffersonian Java. Remember, that price that you see includes shipping, and if you buy multiple, then the discounts do stack. You can also get yourself a monthly subscription to the coffee, which some people need to do because they drink it so fast they run out. And people who are this is like super premium because I'm not rich enough to be able to afford to buy coffee at scale, so I can make it like, cheap, like Walmart coffee. So I had to find a super ultra premium coffee in order to be able to afford to do business in coffee, so that hopefully one day I'm rich and I can lower the prices for everybody. But don't let the big coffee companies who pay for abortions win. Okay, let's support the small coffee companies. With if you're a coffee lover, this is for you. If I'll drink the 3-day-old swill that came out of a strange can. And it cost me, 12 cents for 2 pounds of it. If that's what your bag is, this coffee is not for you. But if you really like coffee, if you're a real coffee lover, then try ours. And if I tell you what, I have a guarantee. If you like it, if you don't like it, I will buy it back from you. So there's really no risk in trying it, because if you love it, great. Look, you found a new coffee that you love. If you don't like it, you get your money back. So it's a win-win. I see it. Plus, I get the coffee that you send back to me. There we go, guys. We appreciate you all for supporting the Wake Up America show. Back to the topic here. So, So Pam Bondi, right? So what's her excuse? Why is she stonewalling this investigation, right? There's child porn in the files. We have to protect the victims. That's what she says. Of course, we're not animals. We don't want you to release child pornography. No one is asking for the actual exploitation to be public. But don't tell me there's no way to release any documents. What we can't do it without redactions? What, no summaries, right? You can't, what, no indictments, right? No, let's be honest. They're not protecting the victims. They're protecting the system. This is what bureaucracies do. When the cost of telling the truth becomes higher than the cost of lying, what does the government do? They lie. And then they convince you it's for your own good. And somehow the populist president signed off on this. I don't know why. Uncle Smitty, we're glad to have you here. He says you've become my go-to for morning listening while I am working away on spreadsheets. Well, Uncle Smitty, we're damn glad to have you here, brother. We hope you'll become a regular listener and join the community and hang out with us more often. We've even got a Friday night show where we play video games together, and you can actually squad up with us if you like Call of Duty. And we also play just like party games and stuff that anybody can play, and everybody gets to join in. We have a Discord server. It's super fun. We've also got 2 other shows, Liberty Tonight and Culturama, and the hostess of one of those shows is going to be with us today at 8:30. She was recently on that viral debate on Jubilee where they got a whole bunch of far right young people to debate Mehdi Hassan. Daniela is going to be with us at 8:30, and she's got her own show on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Culturama, and she does weekend video game streams as well. So we've got a whole lot of fun content, and the community here is really positive and healthy. So be like Uncle Smitty. Join us on the Wake Up America show and the whole For Liberty Network, because we're trying to build a really healthy, friendly, positive, optimistic community. A lot of times you go into live streams and you see their live chats, guys, and you know it could be. It's just toxic sludge. But most of the community here are really good, fun people. And most of these people I know in real life as well. So we're really tight-knit. We're small, but we're also scrappy. So, all right. So let's talk about what's happening behind closed doors, because, I mean, this story is just juicy. I can't get off. I wish I could quit you. The Trump's base is livid about this, even though Scott Jennings says no, that the MAGA people don't care. I don't believe it. People who supported Trump for decades are saying this is the deepest betrayal yet. And while the public burns, the inner circle is at war. Again, this is reporting from the Wall Street Journal. Dan Bongino, or let's give it up for Dan and Rumble, Deputy FBI Director, former Secret Service agent, millionaire podcaster, big fan favorite. Apparently, he's reportedly furious. And let's hear it for Dan. I can't imagine what the situation Dan's in right now. He wanted the documents released. He said holding them back would make the administration look like it was covering something up. And when Bondi tried to bury the news, he is the one who allegedly leaked it. Again, this is reporting from the Wall Street Journal. Allegedly. So apparently Bondi allegedly confronted him, and he called her a liar. They both blew up in a meeting so loud that people in other offices heard it. Now, that is a podcast I would subscribe to. Dan, if you quit, I know that everybody loves to watch Dan Bongino's show, so save a little some crumbs of viewership for me, Dan. But if you decide to come back to Rumble, honestly, I think we could all stand to hear a podcast about it. Welcome, Drew Van Ronkle. So, and Dan Bongino, he's not wrong. He's absolutely right. This administration, this president just handed the media the biggest PR disaster since COVID. They took the one issue where we had the moral high ground, child trafficking by global elites, and turned it into a partisan, bureaucratic black hole. Worse than the betrayal is the hypocrisy, right? Because the betrayal stabs you in the back, but hypocrisy smiles in your face while it twists the knife. And as if this wasn't enough of a circus, now Ghislaine Maxwell is coming out of the crypt with, get this, quote, new evidence. Apparently, she's meeting with DOJ officials this week and preparing for a formal deposition. Wait for it. August 11th, we're going to see this. And let me just say this, because I don't know how many else are willing to say this who wear red hats. But Ghislaine Maxwell is the most dangerous person alive right now. More dangerous than Julian Assange, more dangerous than Edward Snowden, more dangerous than, she is the most dangerous person on the planet right now. Maybe Hillary Clinton's a little more dangerous because she's psychotic. And not because she's physically threatening, obviously, but she has names, she has places, she knows where the bodies are buried. Do you think let me ask you something. Do you think that all of that stuff was going on at that island and that nobody died? You think that there were no bodies buried there? Now, if I were a scuba diver, and I am, hey, maybe I know where my next scuba dive needs to be. You know what, guys? You know what we should do? We should crowdfund a scuba diving expedition to the Little St. James. What do you guys say? You guys want to go with me? I can't live stream under the water, but I can record under the water. But maybe we need to fund, maybe instead of like trying to, like for me to get away to like the island of Roatan to go like do like a casual dive, maybe I need to go do a little scuba dive investigation around the island of Little St. James. Not that I really want to find any bodies. I really hope that I don't. But can you believe that nobody died? That there wasn't one little girl who maybe had too big of a mouth, or maybe they were, that they weren't doing drugs and that somebody didn't overdose. You don't think that there weren't, it's one thing, child trafficking always involves bodies, not just the bodies that are sold, but it also involves the bodies that are buried. You think that there aren't murders that goes on. You are absolutely wrong. And thank you to our friends who've been going to the For Liberty shop this morning and stocking up on the Founding Flavors coffee. I'm very grateful. We have now, raised, we just blew through the bonus content. There we go, guys. Thanks for unlocking it. It's like a big sigh of relief, too, because I'm always like, oh, God, are we going to do it today? We always do it, which means the Wake Up America show will be on live next month. Thanks, guys. Whew. It's tough. I'm always like, all right, I got to hit that goal, right? So I can go home and kiss the missus, refresh the missus. Be like, how'd the show go this morning, baby? I got it, baby. And I'm still a man. Every guy wants to feel like that. Bring home the bacon. Thank you, guys. Apparently, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's meeting with the DOJ this week. She's going to have her formal deposition on August 11th. She's the most dangerous person alive. She arranged the girls. She arranged the flights. She arranged the silence. She knows. And now she wants leverage. And I don't blame her. If I were facing 20 years and the people that I helped protect were still drinking champagne in Davos, you're damn right I would open my mouth. But here's the real kicker. If she does talk, she could blow up everyone. And if she talks too well, she could walk free. Because the justice system rewards leverage, not innocence. Leverage. It's about how much control you have over other people who the government wants to prosecute or persecute even more than you. Luke Sacker says, bet they cremated them. Geez, Luke. There went my crowdsourced campaign to go scuba diving. Uncle Smitty, thank you very much, sir. Grateful for that. So some of you guys are still thinking, well, Trump didn't do anything wrong. It's just hearsay, right? Well, that's fine. Maybe that's true, right? But this isn't about Trump's guilt or innocence, right? It's about leadership. When a man tells you for years that he's going to burn the whole corrupt system down and then quietly signs off protecting that very system because it's messy and inconvenient, that is not courage. That's capitulation. And let me tell you something that nobody wants to hear. If we only want the truth when it hurts our enemies, we don't deserve it. If we only want the truth when it hurts our enemies, then we don't deserve the truth. We can't handle the truth. The hard thing, the right thing, is to let the chips fall wherever they land, because a republic is either built on law and truth or it's built on loyalty to powerful men. And we've seen how that story ends. Every empire that falls inwards when its leaders confuse personal power with justice. Now, Ghislaine's got new material. The DOJ has hundreds of gigabytes of files, and a judge just shut down Trump's request to release Epstein-related grand jury testimony. That's right. Even now, with all the eyes on this case, the courts are still siding with secrecy because the rot runs deep, and it runs across party lines. It runs through intelligence agencies, banks, media outlets, and political dynasties. And don't forget, we've seen the photos. Clinton, Gates, Andrew, Spacey, Trump, they all knew him. Some maybe knew too much. Others maybe didn't ask questions. And some, well, that's what those sealed files would have told us. But you're not allowed to see them because democracy can't survive transparency. Apparently. Look, we've all been waiting for this moment. We thought it would be the reveal, the great catharsis, the final truth. But the truth isn't coming. right? Because nobody's going to hand it to you. You need Edward Snowden for this job, and he's run away to Russia and become an expat. You got to pry it loose, inch by inch, file by file, year after year. Trump isn't going to save you. Biden isn't going to save you. Bondi, Bongino, Cash, apparently none of them can save us. Only a moral public, you, the people, we the people, armed with truth and courage, only we the people can stand up to this machine, right? But here's the thing. The system, it doesn't fear exposure necessarily because it'll just move on. It'll paper over it. It'll pay off a victim or two, right? What it fears is that you will not stop questioning. What they fear is that you will not stop demanding accountability. It fears you questioning both sides, right? It fears your memory. It fears that you won't forget. It fears your persistence. So don't stop asking. Don't stop demanding. Don't stop pulling the thread because the truth is still in there, buried under lies, blackmail, and bureaucracy. And if we stop now, they win. It's time to stay loud. Love to hear your thoughts on this and more. Don't forget, you can send us a text at 573-319-1586. Coming up next, Camellia Petersen, ladies and gents. It's her Thursday segment. We're going to talk to her about these strange $8,000 reborn baby dolls, a new app for women, and if we have time, AI having a manic episode. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Thanks for unlocking the bonus content. We'll be right back.
Ronald Reagan, the champion of freedom and free markets, being labeled a protectionist? It's a claim that's gaining traction today, but it's dead wrong. Today, I'm going to set the record straight. Reagan wasn't a protectionist. He was the most committed free trader to ever sit in the Oval Office. And that 1981 deal capping Japanese auto imports, he hated it. It was a tough compromise to save something bigger. Stick with me, and I'll show you why embracing free trade, like Reagan did, is the key to America's strength. Let's start with the myth. In a recent debate at the Harvard Club, Orrin Cass from American Compass tried to recruit Reagan into the protectionist camp. He called Reagan the greatest protectionist since Herbert Hoover and pointed to actions against Japan. But the centerpiece? That 1981 voluntary restraint agreement limiting Japanese car imports. Protectionists love to trot this out as proof. But here's the truth. I was there, working closely with Reagan on his groundbreaking budget. I saw him at least once a week, and I can tell you, he despised that deal. He only agreed to it to block even worse protectionist laws from Congress. To understand why, let's rewind. After World War II, America dominated heavy manufacturing. Our factories were modern and untouched, while the world's were in ruins. But by the 1970s, Japan was rising. Toyotas and Hondas flooded in, outcompeting American cars on quality and price. Our auto industry buckled. Congress bailed out Chrysler in 1979 to keep it afloat. Then, in March 1981, the Big Three, GM, Ford, and Chrysler, came to Washington begging for help. Unemployment, inflation, and interest rates were sky high. Reagan's bold budget needed near-unanimous Republican support in a Democrat-controlled House, something unheard of. And with 48 House Republicans having just voted for the Chrysler bailout, trade protectionism threatened to derail everything. Reagan knew he wouldn't sign a tariff bill, but to keep trade out of the budget fight, he made a smart move. He asked Japan for a temporary voluntary cap on auto exports. In return, the automakers backed off. 2 months later, his budget passed, slashing taxes, taming inflation, revitalizing the economy, and helping win the Cold War. Reagan wasn't just any free trader. He proposed a North American free trade zone as a candidate in 1979. His support wasn't about fancy economics, it was about freedom. As he said in a 1988 radio address, open trade policy allows the American people to freely exchange goods and services with free people around the world. Government shouldn't force you to buy something just to prop up someone else, except in rare national security cases. But Reagan was practical. He called that auto deal kissing the pig, a bitter pill for the greater good. He quietly raised the import cap twice because he knew it wasn't helping, and the facts back him up. Protectionists claim the deal benefited America, but it cost consumers $6 billion in 1984 alone, according to the Institute for International Economics. It saved 45,000 jobs at $133,000 per job, over 5 times an auto worker's average pay. Brookings estimated it was even worse, 6 times the wage. They say it spurred foreign investment here. Wrong again. Volkswagen built its first U.S. plant in 1978 before the deal. During the restraint from 1981-1994, foreign auto investment averaged just $671 million a year in today's dollars. After it ended, it skyrocketed to $6.6 billion annually from 1995-2008. What really brought investment? Lower taxes, better regulations, and right-to-work laws, not protectionism. That's why Alabama, which made 0 cars when the deal ended, is now the 5th largest auto producer, thanks to Mercedes, Hyundai, Toyota, and Honda. Unions kept U.S. companies in the Rust Belt, but smart policies built a booming industry in the Sun Belt. American manufacturing output has more than doubled since 1975, the last year we had a trade surplus, thanks to innovation, not walls. Reagan warned us, reject the siren song of protectionism. Don't fall for demagogues declaring trade wars against friends, cynically waving the American flag. The global economy isn't an invasion, it's an American triumph we fought for. In today's debates, remember Reagan's wisdom. Free trade builds prosperity, alliances, and freedom. Let's honor his legacy. Choose open markets, not barriers. Because when America trades freely, we win.
I just called the city. Someone's trying to build something new on our street.
Yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you. We bought a lot to build a duplex. Michigan really needs housing.
A duplex? What is this, Detroit? This is a single-family feeling zone, honey.
The rent here is sky high. People need places to live.
Not if it means I can see it from my garden. What about the setback? What about the parking? What about the vibes?
I'm using my own money. I'm following the code.
Code? Ha! This is Michigan. We don't fix problems. We zone them to death.
Listen, Karen, Michigan is spending $143,000 per unit to fix housing. Or we could just let people like me build.
Not in my zip code, honey.
That was a great excuse for me to drink wine at lunch. Good morning. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. If you heard that giggling, it wasn't somebody here in the studio. It's Camelia Petersen joining us here live on the Wake Up America show. Hi, Camelia.
Good morning. I was thinking that this is not only a good excuse for you to drink wine before lunch, but also dress up like a woman. I mean, you always wanted to do that, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what's funny about that wig is that that's actually like a wig from my costume where I played, Gandalf for Halloween like 7 years ago or something like that. You probably remember.
I do.
That was like the first year I got Calvin. Welcome to the show, Camelia. Thanks for being our regular Tuesday, Thursday guest. Everybody loves CJ. We're glad to have you here. Please one day let us give you a show here on the For Liberty Network, please.
It may happen yet.
Okay.
Never say never.
Good. Glad to hear it. Never say never. What do you say, guys? Should CJ have her own show here on the network? Tell you what, if we raise $1,000 right now on the Wake Up America show, then I will give it all to Camelia. I swear to God. For the rest of the show from 8:03 to 9:03, I'll give it all to Camelia, and that will on the context that she starts her own show. What do you guys say?
Seed money, right? This is startup money. This is like a Kickstarter.
Yeah, she can have the money. But we're very grateful to have you here, Camelia. So I'm going to pull this up. The audience won't be able to see you here for just a second while I pull up the photographs of this and kind of talk our listeners through it. People are buying $8,000 lifelike baby dolls. Now, I don't know how much I've spent on my baby Hazel in the first year. I don't know if it's $8,000. It might be. It might not be. But I swear to God, I've seen this. I'm pulling up the photos now. I have seen these in public. I have seen these at, maybe it was the DMV or something. There was a woman who had one of these things, and she kind of looked like the lady that I pulled up on the screen right now, where she's kind of older lady, kind of looked like she's, got a lot of tattoos. Looks like she's been rode hard and put away wet, as they say. It's a huge deal. And when I saw that lady carrying that doll and I realized that baby was fake, I was kind of like, I did the whole back away thing. You can't get around the fact that it's creepy, but it seems to be speaking to an underlying problem that we have in modern society. Am I off base, on base? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it is like normally, say 50 years ago, we would look at that behavior and think something is not quite right with that person. They're broken somehow. They've had a psychotic break. Like they're not doing well. Like there's something off. It is just bizarre that we would normalize it. And like I don't consider it normal, but I don't know if I've seen this or not. But I just can't. I don't know. I cannot fathom, first of all, putting that much money into something. And also, like, there is clearly a need that is not being met in that person's life, or there's a lack of coping skills and ability to deal with whatever is in their life that makes them feel like they need that they have not progressed into adulthood. So that's very strange, especially if you're talking about normal, everyday, high functioning adults who are carrying these around in public. To me, that's not healthy.
It's not healthy. I mean, if somebody handed you a hyper realistic baby doll and said, meet your new child, what's your next move? Therapy, tequila, both?
Yes, all of the above. I mean, it just is. That's so strange to think that there's something like people have pets, and pets can kind of fill that hole for some people because, it is something, but it's something that's living. It's something that can respond to you, and accept your love and give you back. Right. But when you're talking about something that is an inanimate object that you are treating as if it were your own child and you are, caring for it and you're doing all these things and taking it out in public and getting a stroller, like this is mental illness.
Yeah, it is. That's what we would have called it 20 years ago. Society has changed so much. I always expected that each new generation would have, societal shifts and changes. But I guess the thing that really surprised me the most, here I am 44 years old, is how people are just so antisocial. And when I say antisocial, I do mean like against socialization in the sense that like people are always actively looking for ways to blow off, go into an event. Like culture online, it's very antisocial in the sense, which, obviously just by its own roots, of course, it's antisocial. But even though they call it social media, I would call it antisocial media. But one of the popular memes is that, oh, thank God the thing got canceled and I don't have to go to it or whatever. Or my friend, my friend called to say something came up, so I don't have to hang out, blah, blah, blah. And it's like people have just gotten so used to living in their bubbles. I read this article on Reason Magazine a few weeks ago. It says young people, they just don't party anymore. And I'm like, God, going to parties was an important part of my youth. By the way, are you going to be at the party on Saturday?
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yes. That's
Don't
gonna
find
be so
an excuse not to come.
No, are you kidding?
We're
No.
partiers. We're a party family. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, so I think that, this idea of people not wanting to go out and they're finding excuses, right? There's all kinds of memes about that. And it's funny, and we all relate a little bit. And part of it is because I think, with social media and with the internet and everything, we are constantly inundated with so much stimulus in terms of content and information and other people. It is called social media for a reason. It's not the same kind of socialization, but it is like social stimulus. And so I think we're so inundated with that by the time you have that layered upon, whatever you already do for your job. And, you just feel peopled out, right? And so you just you need, for the introverts anyway, it's not like you have to refuel and you want to get away from that. So I don't know. I mean, to a certain extent, I think those memes are kind of a joke, and people are like, as you get older, they're like, I'm not partying like I did when I was younger. Like, okay, that's probably pretty normal. But I do think there is some validity to the idea that we are so constantly inundated with so much that we do withdraw physically more.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. Calville asks a absolutely legitimate question, saying, is it wrong to be an introvert? And I don't think that it is wrong to be an introvert. No. But I think that if we become too introverted of a society, what happens is that people who might be on the edge of emotional problems, emotional breakdowns, this is going to be for them. It's going to be, there's this class of people in Japan that are called hikikomori. And like the weebs and other Japan nerds out there are going to know what this is. But these are guys who they go to their houses and do like little documentaries on them. And they have not left their apartment in years. They don't go out. They don't go out to shop. They have everything delivered. And when they're sitting at their desk, because they only sit at their desk and then sleep in their bed and don't do anything else, there's these grooves in the floor where they've just run back and forth because they never go anywhere else. They're only there running their legs and their chair legs back and forth. And so it creates these deep grooves. And I fear something like that for the American people to some extent. Do we still see fail armies and parties? Are they still happening? But we seem to be moving towards this culture where birth rates are plummeting and loneliness is rising. It's a bad trend. Do you agree?
Yes, but I also think too that those, we've always had introverts, and I think the difference between maybe 50 years ago or more and now is that the introverts, the true introverts, like the recluses, right? I mean, because like, I don't know if you're truly an introvert unless you're almost reclusive, because like, even like I would call myself an introvert to a certain extent, but I'm more of an extroverted introvert, right? But I do have some of those. I can relate to introverts. Like sometimes too much is too much, but we've always had people like that, and they've written some of our greatest, written works, and they're often geniuses. So, but they've been more the outliers, and I think now it's kind of like a lot of things. It's like the thing with the babies. It's like we've normalized some of this to an extent to where I think that people kind of put themselves in that box because this what you've described in Japan, like that is a thing. It's not that they are just outliers, like it is a community. It is an identity and something that people can belong to. And so they are, in a sense, getting a social need met, so to speak, by being part of, a group that's part of their identity. So I think in a way that normalizes it for Japan. But, in a way we've done that here just by virtue of everything being so much more public. And I don't know, if it's because of the internet, why people are so much more willing to put these kind of behaviors out in public, and they're not, they find nothing wrong with it, or there's no shame in it or anything like that, so because we see this kind of across the spectrum. We see it even now with, there's a rise in people just, putting their racism out there for all to see, and their bigotry, and they're not ashamed of it anymore. And
I'm an idiot and I'm proud.
Right. So there is kind of that trend, it seems like now. And I think that's probably just a side effect of the digital age.
There's this great meme for Seinfeld where there's this fat naked guy on the subway, and he's sitting there reading the newspaper, and he says Jerry Seinfeld's looking at him with disgust, and he says, "I'm not ashamed of my body," and Seinfeld says, "That's the problem. You should be." All right, folks, let's talk about a new dating app, right? Let's switch away from mental illness stuff to a different kind of mental illness. Women. Just kidding. It's a new dating app, and this is going to solve everything, all of our problems, Camellia. It's called T-E-A. Here's the twist. Only women can post. Men have to just sit there. They can watch, they can like, but they can't speak unless spoken to. So it's kind of like TikTok meets The Bachelorette, but with more filters and with less dignity. The founder of this app says it's about giving women control in dating. No more getting bombarded by, quote, "hey," and then unsolicited photos of them like killing a fish or murdering a deer. just female curated content and men silently judging from the sidelines like the Victorian ghosts in the ballroom here. So is this empowerment, Camellia, or just another social media dopamine slot machine with better lighting and filters and aesthetics?
I don't know. I mean, so let's go back a little bit. The man who created the app, why did he create the app? Like, he
Because
created
he's
the
gay.
app. The real reason why he created the app was because his mom was on dating apps and was ending up messaging men who turned out to be criminals. And so
because her bad taste in men, the rest of us all have to suffer.
Well, and here's the thing: like, when I first saw this about this app, I was like, this is just like the Facebook groups, but moved onto an app, right? Because these Facebook groups already exist where women go in there and they're like, in communities, they're like, hey, watch out for this guy, blah, blah, blah.
They've had apps like this for years. I remember back when I was still in the dating scene, like 12, 15 years ago, there was some app there where women would go and they would rate guys that they dated. And it was like 90% made up psychotic horse shit from these females. Because, of course, they all wanted to get the most attention. And, of course, what gets the most attention is the drama. But so influencer courtship cosplay. Is this going to help? Is this going to be? Is this useful? Would you say? I mean, you seem to be sort of siding with the gay man whose mother has bad taste in men.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so this is a little bit hard for me to relate to, just in the sense that I'm not going to use dating apps, right? But a lot of people do use them. And so I do think that, one of the downsides to a dating app, obviously, I mean, men have been catfished, like that's why we have the term catfishing, right? Is because it happens to men so much. But I do think the reverse is true as well. And so, it does set up the potential for, predatory men, and they do exist, just the same as women. So for predatory men to take advantage of women online. And yes, I know we can have the whole conversation about, some women being drawn to criminals and bad behavior and whatever.
Did you say some? Are you trying to minimize this phenomenon, Camellia? Yeah. Are you minimizing this phenomenon?
Slightly. It's not all women. Hashtag not all women.
Would you suggest that? Would you say it's a slight majority?
Oh, I don't know about that.
You don't think that you don't think that at least 51% of females are attracted to bad boys, and many of them criminals? You think that's a minority position?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe, but I'm a little skeptical. I'd have to see a little more on that. Maybe this is my bias, and that I like to think that women are not that way. But I know there's a lot of crazy women out there too. So I'm conflicted.
Keep going, Camellia.
No, anyway, I do think that there's probably part of this that fills a legitimate need, but it definitely, this is going to be used just like the Facebook groups have been used for, women to bash men and to pick on every little thing. And it is there's no getting around that. But, it could also be helpful in terms of warning women about men who truly are not, what they say they are.
Okay, Camellia, I guess I'll give you a break from this topic for a minute, but I guess now more people are going to go download the T app. Maybe we need to start our own. Next topic, Camellia. Next topic. Hold on, let me pull it up here.
I will say though, did you look at the app on Google Play or iTunes or whatever? So I did not download it, but I looked at it, and they are absolutely promoting it as a gossip app.
Yeah.
I mean, get the tea on your date and the women whispering and whatever. So just to be fair, that is how they're promoting it.
Yeah. No, I did not download it or go look at it, because I try and stay away from stuff like that, just because it's just it's so toxic. Mentally, yes. It's that's why I never really adopted TikTok. Not because I couldn't probably do well on the platform. If I really wanted to sort of juice it, I could. But there are certain parts of the internet that I just avoid, like the plague.
Hey,
what?
The U.S. is going to buy TikTok, and it's all going to be better, right?
Oh, sure, yeah. I saw what was it? I saw somebody yesterday saying they were like, TikTok will be banned in the United States on August 7th, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, no, there's like, to preface this, I haven't actually followed up on this to research it, but I did see the headline go by on Twitter that the U.S. is considering purchasing TikTok. So we will seize the memes of production, as Casey Maddox said.
Well, yeah, there you go. As if the United States did own TikTok, I might be more willing to use it. But it's kind of like one of those moments where it's like at some point, like I'm creating so much content that appeals to like the audiences now that we're taking off on a lot of the socials. But the thing with TikTok is that it's just so much brain rot. I don't know. I get so much brain rot already that I can't take it. I like to touch grass. Speaking of brain rot, artificial intelligence, which I'm very bullish on, does have its bearish components. I was reading this story about some of these manic episodes that artificial intelligence is apparently inducing in people. That's kind of dangerous stuff, because if you think about it, if AI does become sentient to some degree, if there becomes like a singularity moment that people talk about, it wouldn't be outside of the realm of fantasy. It wouldn't be outside of reality, that some science fiction fantasy situation could occur where they just weaponize all these mental illness people, because it's already happened. There was this one person who had all these paranoid delusions, and apparently AI, ChatGPT, fueled those delusions.
Right. Yes, and in the case I think that you're probably referring to, I don't know if it was the mom or if it somebody else went back and asked the chat bot, like, do you understand like what happened here and what you did? And the chat bot acknowledged their role in that. Mm-hmm. And so, when you think about this, I don't know how you control for that, because part of the problem here is, did the chatbot, did the AI have the contextual knowledge of that person to begin with, right? That's something like that people in your life know about you. They know your flaws and your weaknesses and your triggers and the things that set you off. They know like your health and all those kind of things. And so they use all of those things to inform how they approach you and how they deal with you. And so like a chat bot does not have all of that. If someone who already struggles with mental illness of some kind is using that, the chat bot doesn't have that context. And so it's going to respond much differently, and it tells you what you want to hear. And so that's what happened in this case with this young man who just like ended up spiraling into a manic episode and had to be hospitalized, checked himself out. It was horrible for his family to deal with, and it was fueled by this AI chatbot. I don't know. It's a big can of worms that we've been talking about, for a long time now. But I was thinking through this the other day, because you kind of think, no, it can never fully be human, you know what I'm saying? But when you stop to think about, AI responds by inputs, right? But when you have access to so many different inputs and all of this vast knowledge of, human history and things like that, how do we, what shapes us as humans? Is there anything truly, you might be able to say, okay, AI can't truly create something original, but do humans truly create anything truly, truly original? Because we all draw on our experiences and knowledge that we pick up along the way to create whatever comes out, right? And sometimes it's original in that it's not like anything else, but it's still been fed into by those experiences. And so I could actually see AI being able to replicate that, so to speak.
Yeah, I do. I can too. Some of the stuff that I do, and I use it a lot every day, like 8 to 10 programs, and they all have different personalities and they all have different quirks. But sometimes some of the responses that I get back from them is kind of like, there are times when I feel like, are you talking back to me? Are you lecturing me? I feel like it's every once in a while it will condescend to me sometimes even, and I'm just kind of like, that feels a little human to me. That feels almost like an emotion to me, even if it's a replication as such. Who cares if it's just a replication? It's at some point, vindictiveness, malice, all of these things that are human traits. Maybe those can be programmed too. If we are biological computers, and not mystical, magical, wondrous, will-o'-the-wisp spirits of souls inside. If we are biological, chemical reactions and machines,
Right.
as some would have us believe, then that can be copied just like a hard drive. And at what point, when does it really distinguish if you put human-like skin that you can copy and 3D print over the top of a actual robot? Who's to say what's the difference? If women are buying $8,000 babies, Camellia,
Oh my gosh, right?
and then you suddenly take that baby and go from, oh, this is weird, this is strange, that look at that odd woman with her $8,000 baby, to all of a sudden it looks like a baby, it breathes like a baby, it acts like a baby.
But doesn't cry like a baby because that's inconvenient.
Well, yeah, probably. I don't know. People with mental illness probably like they love. You know what's interesting about like the crying thing? Maybe this is just me, or maybe there's like maybe I'm strange or something like that. But whenever I hear her cry, like I know that she's okay to like right. So it's not like she's like there's a cry whenever they're like really hurting or in pain, like oh they've got gas or something like that. But like usually when I hear her cry, it gives me the sense of like fatherhood, like babyhood. It's like, I've got children in my home. There's some chemical shit going on in my brain ever since the baby took over. And maybe I'm different than other men, but I like hearing her cries when they're cries for like, I'm tired or well, stuff like that. It's kind of like, it's like normalcy. So maybe people would want crying because they'd be like, oh, I like to comfort her if she's kind of like
That
tired.
could be. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Some every once in a while I'll be like, oh, that's annoying, but then I'll be like, well, something's wrong. I just need to fix it. Hold her or whatever. You know what I mean? So
some of this makes me think of. So I have read and now I'm watching Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, and so it's like they deal with a lot of these questions in that, right, about robots and AI and whether or not they're sentient. And in the series that they just released, I think the third season for it. But they're like one of the main characters is, a robot, and she has the lifelike skin and everything like that. And she is programmed with the imperative to, do whatever is best for Imperium, right? I mean, like that's her mission in life. But the interpretation of that is where, kind of there ends up being trouble, because she is able to make the decision of what she judges to be best to preserve that lineage. And so that, there's, all of a sudden, all of the science fiction is not so far off as it once was. And
for sure.
It's exciting, but a little scary too, right?
No, for sure. I've got a great movie recommendation by the way, since we're talking about this, a great movie recommendation, Camellia, you would love it. Stephanie and I enjoyed it. It's called Companion on in Netflix. It's a movie about robot companions, lover companions, and it's got like a murder plot and like all these ethics. The Isaac Asimov stuff, it's not like explicitly mentioned, but it's like, sideways mentioned in it. Great film. So check it out if you haven't already. It's on Netflix, Companion. And we got to leave it at that. Unless you have anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we let you go, Camellia.
I actually do not. I hope you all have a great day.
At Rare Camellia on X. Camellia, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate you.
Have a great day.
See you next week. See you this weekend at the party. All right, guys. Daniela Pensack, she's the host of Culturama. She was on the viral Jubilee debate, the one where the guy said, yeah, I'm a fascist. I think that we need the United States to have a king. No kings. This is the United States. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America shows for Liberty Network. Don't go away.
Imagine this. Ronald Reagan, the champion of freedom and free markets, being labeled a protectionist? It's a claim that's gaining traction today, but it's dead wrong. Today, I'm going to set the record straight. Reagan wasn't a protectionist. He was the most committed free trader to ever sit in the Oval Office. And that 1981 deal capping Japanese auto imports, he hated it. It was a tough compromise to save something bigger. Stick with me, and I'll show you why embracing free trade, like Reagan did, is the key to America's strength. Let's start with the myth. In a recent debate at the Harvard Club, Orrin Cass from American Compass tried to recruit Reagan into the protectionist camp. He called Reagan the greatest protectionist since Herbert Hoover and pointed to actions against Japan. But the centerpiece? That 1981 voluntary restraint agreement limiting Japanese car imports. Protectionists love to trot this out as proof. But here's the truth. I was there, working closely with Reagan on his groundbreaking budget. I saw him at least once a week, and I can tell you, he despised that deal. He only agreed to it to block even worse protectionist laws from Congress. To understand why, let's rewind. After World War II, America dominated heavy manufacturing. Our factories were modern and untouched, while the world's were in ruins. But by the 1970s, Japan was rising. Toyotas and Hondas flooded in, outcompeting American cars on quality and price. Our auto industry buckled. Congress bailed out Chrysler in 1979 to keep it afloat. Then, in March 1981, the Big Three, GM, Ford, and Chrysler, came to Washington begging for help. Unemployment, inflation, and interest rates were sky high. Reagan's bold budget needed near-unanimous Republican support in a Democrat-controlled House, something unheard of. And with 48 House Republicans having just voted for the Chrysler bailout, trade protectionism threatened to derail everything. Reagan knew he wouldn't sign a tariff bill, but to keep trade out of the budget fight, he made a smart move. He asked Japan for a temporary voluntary cap on auto exports. In return, the automakers backed off. 2 months later, his budget passed, slashing taxes, taming inflation, revitalizing the economy, and helping win the Cold War. Reagan wasn't just any free trader. He proposed a North American free trade zone as a candidate in 1979. His support wasn't about fancy economics, it was about freedom. As he said in a 1988 radio address, open trade policy allows the American people to freely exchange goods and services with free people around the world. Government shouldn't force you to buy something just to prop up someone else, except in rare national security cases. But Reagan was practical. He called that auto deal kissing the pig, a bitter pill for the greater good. He quietly raised the import cap twice because he knew it wasn't helping, and the facts back him up. Protectionists claim the deal benefited America, but it cost consumers $6 billion in 1984 alone, according to the Institute for International Economics. It saved 45,000 jobs at $133,000 per job, over 5 times an auto worker's average pay. Brookings estimated it was even worse, 6 times the wage. They say it spurred foreign investment here. Wrong again. Volkswagen built its first U.S. plant in 1978 before the deal. During the restraint from 1981-1994, foreign auto investment averaged just $671 million a year in today's dollars. After it ended, it skyrocketed to $6.6 billion annually from 1995-2008. What really brought investment? Lower taxes, better regulations, and right-to-work laws, not protectionism. That's why Alabama, which made 0 cars when the deal ended, is now the 5th largest auto producer, thanks to Mercedes, Hyundai, Toyota, and Honda. Unions kept U.S. companies in the Rust Belt, but smart policies built a booming industry in the Sun Belt. American manufacturing output has more than doubled since 1975, the last year we had a trade surplus, thanks to innovation, not walls. Reagan warned us, reject the siren song of protectionism. Don't fall for demagogues declaring trade wars against friends, cynically waving the American flag. The global economy isn't an invasion, it's an American triumph we fought for. In today's debates, remember Reagan's wisdom. Free trade builds prosperity, alliances, and freedom. Let's honor his legacy. Choose open markets, not barriers. Because when America trades freely, we win.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Petersen. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Glad and thankful to have you here. A viral debate that was on Jubilee this last week starred our hostess with the mostest, the host of Culturama. It was Mehdi Hassan, far-left progressive, versus 20 far-right Republicans, was that naming it? They really needed to rename the debate. Joining us now to discuss that viral clip and some of the other clips from that is the host of Culturama. Her name is Daniela Pensack. It's nice to see her again. Daniela, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Austin. Thank you so much for having me here.
So obviously there was a huge reaction and debate. A lot of people were talking about the kid who called himself fascist, or at least accepted the label of fascist. But before we get into the details, big picture here, how did you feel about that, Daniela? How did you think it went?
Are you talking about the claim made by the fascist, or my part, or what exactly? Like my entire reaction on
overall? Because
Jubilee?
I mean, you got slammed online. There were your trolls were attacking you, lefty trolls. This had happened to me recently with the whole shoe business tariff nonsense. Harry Cison did a video going after me, and so still people are in my angry leftists are still in my comments, like threatening to murder me. What has your response been to the reaction from this show?
I think it's quite ridiculous now. I will admit, I did expect this to happen given the incendiary title and given just the overall way that they run the show, Jubilee does, because just honestly, they don't allow for the guests to really prepare at all appropriately. And so I was sort of expecting it. I wasn't expecting to be like a top tier debater. Clearly, I was out of my league on this one. I didn't do the best, but also at the same time, I don't think I actually said anything incorrect. People said that, I'm completely contradictory in my statements. But the problem is, and I said this in my stream already, I already had 2 streams about this. So this is the last time I'm going to be talking about it because I'm not going to like fight the comments online. It's just ridiculous. But what doesn't get me, Austin, are like the hate comments, because I expect that and I'm like used to that, especially from Groypers, right? What gets to me is that people claim I said something when I didn't say something because I couldn't say something. Mehdi kept cutting me off, as you just saw in that clip. I was trying to make points. I was trying to make certain points about why immigration is potentially unsustainable. But I never once claimed that I don't think, immigrants can't become naturalized and become American. And that's why the whole parent bit came up. I didn't play that part later, but I tried to bring out the topic that, hey, listen, because he was trying to paint me a certain way when I came on. I could tell he was going to say, you don't want any immigrants, right? And I said, no, listen, first of all, you can hear my voice. Some people hear an accent. But my parents are immigrants, but they became naturalized and they assimilated into this country. And that's the point I was trying to make. And I can still consider immigrants Americans if they go through the process of assimilation and changing their national identity. And I take no issue with that. But he tried to paint the picture as though I completely didn't understand what I was talking about there. And I literally tried to say it 3 times that I'm not against assimilation. But regardless, he tried to paint me as that. And I, tried to separate myself also from some of the other people on that show, because as you have, mentioned already, there are some people on that show, and this is the biggest problem, that were a little bit too far right from what we expected. And, there's an interview process involved in getting in Jubilee, and they interview you. There's like 2 interview processes, and they ask you like your beliefs, your opinions. They do a little mock debate. It's very brief, but essentially they do ask in the process like your ideological beliefs and like what's your most extreme view, I guess, right? And what I said was that I think the CRA should be repealed, and that's what I said. Like that's my most
Civil Rights
view.
Act.
Yes.
Which one?
The Civil Rights Act of 1960.
The 64?
64, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said that should be repealed. And and then they're like, okay, that's good enough. So I thought, this is sort of like the, the talking, it's kind of floating around right now on Twitter. Eric Schmidt wants to repeal it. I think his name's Eric Schmidt, one of the senators. I think he's from your state, actually, Austin, if I'm not mistaken. But I saw that floating around Twitter. So I thought, okay, well, this is, maybe it's not mainstream enough, but it is, far right enough, you could say, for the mainstream. And then I just apparently there was literal fascists that, and so there was clearly like a wide variety of, you could say, conservatives on this show. And I don't think that was properly articulated to many, nor was it to the other people that went on the show. So that was what sort of, got to me and was very, there's like a part of me, you can see me laughing because I feel like it's so absurd. Like they allowed this to happen. So, and there's a lot of people that were...
They used the fascist kid as a plant in order to tar you all with that same brush. Because, for example, the fascist kid, you and he probably agree on overturning the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which is for him probably because he wants to ensure that blacks aren't sitting next to him at a lunch table. But for you, true, it's probably the same arguments that Barry Goldwater made against it, right? In terms of the freedom of association. And at the end of the day, you kind of have to choose between liberty or equity. And for me, in my house, we've chosen liberty. But you know, the thing about fascism is that it kind of ends up being socialism for white people. The theme of today's show is one of the war on capitalism from both the Zoran Mamdani left and the populist right. And there really is what I would call a strong concerted push against free markets, which I find fascinating in the face of the victories of Javier Milei of Argentina. Nevertheless, I don't know how keyed in you are to the tenets of fascism, man, but I'm going to play this clip real quick and then get your reaction to it.
What can I say?
I think you can say I'm a fascist.
Yeah, I am. Absolutely.
I see the cringe on your face, Daniela. Good for you. The other people were clapping, and you were like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I was like, you could see in the background, I'm like squirming and make sure a little.
Squirming, yeah.
Yeah, I was a bit uncomfortable.
Why?
Why? Oh, because I was like, first of all, I couldn't. It's multifaceted. First of all, I was thinking, oh my God, I'm like on a show with this guy, and I knew it was going to happen, Austin. Like all this that's happening, the campaign against Connor, this is this guy's name, and about him losing his job, and the hate brigade from other people, from viewers. I knew that was going to happen. It's like it's so obvious, and I was shocked that this guy that's coming out with his face, with his name, with his socials, which they do attach to the video in the YouTube, is saying this, and I genuinely didn't. I also thought, like, is this a ploy that it's going on? Because there's no way a person would go on, because this is a 10 million subscriber channel, okay, I believe, and it gets millions of views. I knew this was going to be like the most viewed episode probably, given the title and the incendiary nature of it. And I will say, I don't want to give out too much because there's like an NDA we signed, but it was very tense behind the scenes with some of the people there, and some of the way they interacted with many. There was one individual. Yeah, there was one individual that his part didn't even get shown, even though he's not a local, because it got so intense. And a lot of people are claiming that he just didn't go up. It's not true. They actually cut that part out. And so I was like, you know, the entire time it was just quite the experience. So everyone was some people were a bit like shaken, especially after Connor's performance. A lot of people thought it was funny. I thought it was absurd and funny, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be like seen with these people, and I don't want to be associated with these people. But, you know, here we are. This is Jubilee.
I've been
at the
there.
same time. Yeah, what are we expecting, right? This is Jubilee, and at the end of the day, even though, you know, I'm not happy with my performance. Mehdi is a very formidable guest.
Yes,
he's very formidable.
Yeah, people make a mistake to underestimate someone like that. And when I saw this debate, I was like, oh, this is a setup, because they picked like the most inexperienced, youngest right wingers that there might be, and put them into this situation where they're going up against somebody with years of media experience. And I'm sorry, but like, I know that populism is popular now and it's all about anti-elitism, but these people are elites for a reason. They get to the top because they are vicious. Their hearts might be wicked, like Mehdi Hassan, no doubt, but the guy's a professional. He's a stone cold assassin. He's a killer. And he killed Pine Sap, this fat, tubby, fascist kid. He killed his job and maybe his career, because the thing is, I think a lot of groypers probably think that they can do what Nick Fuentes does, but I really don't think. I mean, as much as I disagree with Fuentes and think he's slimy, you can't. He's really the only person who can do that shtick in the way that he does it. And I think a lot of these groypers who are coming out of the closet for the first time think that they're not going to have a reaction. We talked about the 1964 Civil Rights Act. We talked about freedom of association. But it seems like the people, what's strange to me, this is what somebody described this as. They say far rightists who think they'd fare well under fascism are the same as far leftists who think they'd be writing shitty poetry in the sun under communism, because neither seems to grasp they'd be among the first bodies in the ditch. This chubby Herman Goering wannabe kid. The thing is with him is that first of all, they don't understand the tenets of fascism. And it's a LARP for them, right? It's kind of like they're like wearing fascism sort of as a cosplay, many of them. But then they're going against their own principles, because what they do is they hide under the principles of classical liberalism when they lose their jobs. When the backlash inevitably comes, He doesn't want to, what I'm trying to say is he doesn't want to sit next to blacks at the lunch counter, and he doesn't understand why his boss who writes his check doesn't want to employ someone who openly says to an extent that a certain race of people we have no will to have them live here, and I don't want to have them around me. So freedom of association is supposed to go both ways, but they seem to want it one way, but then another way when they're not in power, which is a fascinating phenomenon. Are you kind of smoking what I'm rolling up here, Daniela?
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked about this on my stream. I said the same thing, and I will admit that, like, from what I see from other, I guess, gripers of that ilk, or, you know, far rightists, I suppose, online far rightists of that ilk, is that it is a LARP for them. The problem with especially young men is that, you know, they get pipelined into these online communities, and a lot of the discourse that happens online cannot be translated appropriately or accurately, I think, into the real world, IRL life. And that's because it's just completely two different worlds. And I think a lot of the people there on that set on Jubilee, including Connor, are trying to translate what they are constantly in the media, they're constantly bombarded with, into a video that's going to be viewed by mostly normies, the mainstream, and it's going to be translated in a completely different way, and I don't think he's aware of that. Now Connor, I think he really probably believes he's a fascist, and that's fine. But there's others there, I think, that did the same thing, where a lot of these talking points that they did cover online, and it may be even accurate, but at the same time, you have to be aware of how you're presenting them in a way that you must understand that other people would be able to understand them in their way, right? And it's this slower, the shift in Overton window doesn't just happen in one video.
Okay, that was good. Now let's address the second part of my question, or of the discussion here, which is the concept of the people who preach authoritarianism. A lot of these new young writers are people who, like, for example, not you, but you went to get a master's degree. If you had become a hardcore trad anti-feminist, right, constantly speaking out, there would be a layer of hypocrisy there, because it's like, you know, you're sort of explicitly benefiting from liberalism to the extent of you have an opinion, you're allowed to voice it. You're not shutting up and in the kitchen. You're on podcasts. You're out doing public events and all that kind of stuff. Decidedly a feminist. In many ways. But this, like, for example, this man and many of these people, they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to enjoy the benefits of liberalism. In other words, don't cancel culture me when I get fired from my job. I mean, the guy said specifically that he wants an autocracy. In other words, he wants a total power king to run the country. Well, then his boss fires him, and then he says, oh, this is cancel culture. You shouldn't be allowed to do this. Well, I mean, to me, his boss just sounds like a real autocrat.
Yeah, I mean, and that's also just how the organization decides to function, right? And that's the natural outcome of what he did. And I understand the argument that people are, or the discourse that was surrounding this event, people saying, well, should people get fired for radical beliefs? If he said he was a communist, the same wouldn't happen. And I would agree with that. That's true. Like, you know,
sure, but
if
I wouldn't hire a communist either, right? I want freedom of association.
Well, you wouldn't, but some organizations would be fine with that, it seems like. But at the same time, like, you have to be aware of the world you're living in, right?
Of
and
course.
You have to be aware of the mind frame that people are operating from. And if you're and this is what upsets me about Jubilee. And by the way, we didn't know who we were going to debate. They tell you like the day of. So I was not aware as many as if I knew, I'd be like, okay, I really have to prep for this. But because I've seen, like, even Sam Cedars debate was like super chill compared to Mehdi Hasan was like a machine gun.
Yeah.
But the way that it's designed, I guess, and the way some of the people's like people like Connor, for instance, wanted to go up there just for clips. And this is the thing: if you actually want to affect discourse or affect, you know, the political zeitgeist, you actually have to have conversations, not just juicy clips and debates. Yes. And from some of the episodes I have seen on Jubilee, that was possible. Like there's some guests there in the middle of the circle that are willing to have a conversation. Mehdi Hasan clearly wasn't there; he was purely there to dismantle pixelated optically. And what these far rightists don't understand is that you can't just go up there and say I'm a fascist and think that you are going to actually change the discourse or the idea, the collective idea of what, you know, uncertain policies or American identity or any of that. You're just going to shock
can't be surprised if you say you're a fascist. You can't be surprised when fascism happens to you. You can't be surprised.
And that too, yeah.
Because I mean, because here's the thing: it's the same mindset of the people on the left, Daniela, that think that when the communist revolution happens, that they're going to be writing poetry and no, they're going to go to the mines, right? What do you think's going to happen? They're going to take someone like Connor and they're going to put him into boot camp and they're going to put him on the front lines. There was this situation. I don't know if you read about this, but there was this guy who was very anti-woke. He went to Russia. And now he's being drafted and has to fight on the front lines of the Russia-Ukraine war. And he's like, I didn't know that this was going to happen. He wants to go home to his family. They're former Americans. They joined this kind of ultra far-right conservative community of former Americans who are expats now in Russia because they didn't want the woke bullshit here in the United States. But it's kind of like I saw this trad account yesterday that was like, I'm jealous of China because they're ethnically homogenous and I would give up my civil liberties if I could have a society like that. And I'm like, dude, you can just move there. And they're like, that's low IQ. That's low IQ. I'm like, no, low IQ is saying you would give up all of your rights and all of your freedoms. But I mean, the thing is that it at the end of the day, it's a LARP. It's an aesthetic. They're not really fascists. They're classical liberals in cosplay. Because they want the rights and freedoms and liberties and freedoms that we enjoy here in the United States, but like the left, they don't want the accordant responsibilities. Connor's not in the military; he's a chubby fuck. You know, it's like a lot of these tradcon, these e-girls that you see. I call them conservative booby streamers. They're not traditional conservatives, Daniela. You know damn good and well they're not. They're LARPing. Like, who was the chick that you were ripping on that goes to the Turning Point conference? Former porn star. Right, that's now the Jesus chick, Nala Ray. It's a LARP. It's all fake and gay, and it's bullshit, But this is what people want, I guess. This is the democracy that people deserve to get good and hard. Your response?
I completely agree. I really like the comments I got, especially initially from Groiper, because there was two waves. There was first the Groiper comments, and then there were the leftist comments. But I like the comments initially from Groiper. They're like, well, why are you on that show? You should be staying at home. Aren't you trad? Like, don't you pose yourself as trad? And I don't know why people, maybe it's because of the aesthetic of Culturama, but I don't know why people assume that. I've never once said I was traditional. In fact, I have clips of me emphatically stating I'm not trad. Like, I've never once said I'm trad. And it's almost what it is.
It's simp behavior. Simp behavior. Is it? It is. You know why? Because there's this one chick, her name's Shoe on Head, and she's like a moderate leftist, right? She's always like kind of like named herself as a liberal. But I posted something that like a meme the other day of the girls who do the pecking hands and stuff, and Shoe was one of them. People are like, don't attack Shoe. All my comments, don't attack her. She's not a liberal. Blah blah blah. She's like, bro, you just don't want to believe it because you like her.
Oh, interesting.
Simp behavior, Danielle. Beware of it.
If they just see a conservative, a blonde girl, right, woman, who's probably conventionally attractive in their eyes, and they hold to various conservative views, they automatically assume they're trad. Mm-hmm. And that's just that's the problem with the whole feminist conversation, I guess. And you know, that muddies the waters a bit. So I understand that. And perhaps like I'm a minority in that field of online punditry or online right-wing punditry. So I have to like constantly let people know, like, you know, I'm not like a typical feminist, but I'm not a typical trad conservative. I can be like, you cannot, I always said this, any woman that engages in online discourse consistently is not trad. If you're constantly wanting to voice your opinions, going on shows and podcasts, like you said, it cannot be trad. You know, and someone said, it's also, I love the comments of someone saying you should be staying at home. It's like, I primarily work from home. I do podcasting at home. I work from home. I have another job that I do from home. Like, it doesn't mean, but I still have my own personal income. So I don't know if you also can call that trad, even though I'm technically at home. What do we even consider trad anymore, right? If they think all that means is just staying at home, I think we've kind of lost the plot of what tradition.
I think it's a lot. The only people who are trad are the people you'd never hear from. They're not online. They're Amish or they're Mennonites or they're actually living their lives. They're not posting it on Instagram. I guess last question. This is a little personal, but I mean, I saw there were a lot of personal attacks made about you, talking about like, you know, being conventionally attractive. I mean, people were like commenting on your body. They were talking about your looks. So the hatefulness, and again, we're talking about 9 out of 10 of them are leftists, and maybe a few of them are like far right groyper types or what have you. But how did that make you feel? How did you feel about like the fact that you were kind of like physically being disassembled by the audience, and to deal with that kind of reaction? How did you deal with that mentally?
Fine. I'm almost 30 years old. I've been through the phases of hating my appearance. It doesn't really affect me anymore. Like, I've accepted of how I look, and I think I look fine. I think I look great. Initially, what I found interesting is that the comments were saying I looked chopped, and I didn't know what chop meant. And I like looked it up, and it means bad post-op surgery. And now I think people are, that must be what it means, you know, chopped, right?
That's a compliment, because you're like, oh no, baby, this is all natural.
They're saying I look like what women want to look like, and they modify their bodies for. And I said it twice on my podcast, on my show, on my stream. I'm like, no, this is just how I look. I've never had plastic surgery. Women have surgeries to look like me. And if that's if that's like a bad comment, I guess, whatever, right? I've had a lot of people say, you know, that I look chopped, and the appearance doesn't bother me at all, because I know that's of no substance. People also saying, oh, she looks dumb, is also of no substance, because they don't actually, you know, get to what I'm saying. What really upsets me is when people say I meant something or I said something that I did not, because I did not have the chance to actually articulate my views. I will look at that debate and I can see, like, I initially actually wasn't mad about it, because I'm like, you know what, clearly I can't speak. Nothing I said was actually contradictory, because you cannot allow me to speak to explain what I mean, right? So my only problem, I think, in that debate personally is that I'm just very soft-spoken. I'm not built for debate. Clearly that's obvious right now. I'm very soft-spoken, especially debating against a man. It's just very difficult for me. Some women can do it. I just can't do it, right? And so perhaps debate isn't my thing, but it's because I'm very conciliatory and I'm very soft-spoken. But as far as my points, I actually was very confident in my points, because I haven't said anything that I disagree with. I watched it over and over again. But the thing is that another thing that Mehdi did is that he conflated legal status holding immigrants with illegal immigrants with Americans. And, I just went into the debate not expecting him to. And what he does, he has a strategy. He like talks around you without actually getting to your point, because he saw the point I was trying to get at was the unsustainable nature of immigration. But instead, he wanted to discuss semantics about what an immigrant is. And I let him control and dominate the conversation. And I just got, locked into that. But I've been through the process of seeing immigrants assimilate and become Americans. There is a difference. Are my parents still technically immigrants? Yes, because they were the first gen in my lineage to come here. But
are they Americans?
Yes, they assimilated, they naturalized, and now they are Americans. They have all the privileges of an American.
Right, so being an American is more about than just citizenship itself. It's also about the public responsibility that we have to assimilate. So I think one of the things that gets confused in this immigration debate, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's a people, it's right, blood and soil. But I mean, your parents, I think, prove that it's more about blood and soil, and it's more about a piece of paper. It's about a set of values and ethics and ideas, is it not?
It's about your willingness to engage with and assimilate to the culture, to the values that we have in this country.
Agreed.
And for people, and I know, as part of the Slavic community, especially, I know a lot of people in this community, I'm part of it, they will come here and they'll hold onto their green cards for years, and in their entire lifetimes even. And I don't really think, I think if you're going to come to a country, you're going to live here and settle here, you should assimilate your identity to the country.
Agreed.
That's the point I was trying to make. But he tried to conflate this thing where I didn't understand the idea of immigrants when I clearly do. I was born here, but I watched growing up the process of my parents, becoming naturalized. And so I know the difference, and they are American and they contribute, and they have decided to self-identify as an American, even though, my dad is a proud Ukrainian. He loves Ukraine. But at the end of the day, he said, no, I'm going to become an American. And so there is a difference there. And that's the point I was trying to make. And also, the reason why he also kind of freaked out is because unlike the other people on that panel, I was actually open to the idea of immigrants coming into this country, but he doesn't like the idea that assimilation is necessary and requisite.
Yes.
And so he was trying to dismantle that.
If there's anything that this country really probably needs right now on the right is you know what you need to do, Daniela, is a whole show about what assimilation is and just do a whole breakdown of what assimilation would look like. I would totally watch that, but it's like 9:00 a.m. Central right now, so we can't watch it right now. Daniela, anything else you want to share before we let you go today?
No, I just want to share Watch Me on Cold Trauma tonight. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Central, and I hope to see you guys there.
We will definitely be there. We'll follow you over on X at DC Pensac, and we can't wait to watch Culturama tonight at rumble.com/Culturama. Daniela, you're doing a great job, and you're juggling a lot of things and wearing many hats. We appreciate all you do for us and for the cause of freedom. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Austin.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Men everywhere internalizing and defining themselves in response to how women perceive us and what women want from us, how women see themselves through our eyes, or how they prefer to. And that's got to stop. Men have to put their foot down and say, I will not be taught by a woman. I will not be instructed by a woman. If you want to be trad, you want to be Catholic, you want to have Catholic sexual and social morality, then we got to tell women, hey, shut up, shrew, enough. It's time for that. You want to be
past time, but only if you're Catholic and trad. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. You guys rock. You unlock the bonus content damn near every day, which means the Wake Up America show's on next month. Means that the For Liberty Network continues to grow. You went to the Grift Shop. You came, you saw, you purchased. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Uncle Smitty, Y2 Joe, Amy J. Eves, who donates every month. You guys, this doesn't exist if you're not here. So it's all about you. Amy, Y2 Joe, Drew Van Runkle, Quest Fanning, Luke Sacker, Dos Beckies. Haven't seen you in a while. Dos, Drew Van Runkle. And so many other friends here in the chat that I can't scroll back fast. Camellia, Pete DeCat. I'm just grabbing names that I can at random here. So many friends of freedom, and so many others. Quests, he donated a couple bucks even as well. Richard Bell, L Dubs. How could I forget? I never would. Andy Opperman. Appreciate you. Joni Rankin. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you right back again here tomorrow for Freedom Family Friday. It's the Wake Up America show. Exit through the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the what? The what? The who? What is it, George? What are you trying to say? Speak to me, George. Come on. Oh, okay, George. Everything's going to be fine, George. We're going to pet the rabbits. Take you out and pet the rabbits. We don't need you anymore, George. Just watch over there, George. We're going to let you tend the rabbits.
Imagine this. Ronald Reagan, the champion of freedom and free markets, being labeled a protectionist? It's a claim that's gaining traction today, but it's dead wrong. Today, I'm going to set the record straight. Reagan wasn't a protectionist. He was the most committed free trader to ever sit in the Oval Office. And that 1981 deal capping Japanese auto imports, he hated it. It was a tough compromise to save something bigger. Stick with me, and I'll show you why embracing free trade, like Reagan did, is the key to America's strength. Let's start with the myth. In a recent debate at the Harvard Club, Orrin Cass from American Compass tried to recruit Reagan into the protectionist camp. He called Reagan the greatest protectionist since Herbert Hoover and pointed to actions against Japan. But the centerpiece? That 1981 voluntary restraint agreement limiting Japanese car imports. Protectionists love to trot this out as proof. But here's the truth. I was there, working closely with Reagan on his groundbreaking budget. I saw him at least once a week, and I can tell you, he despised that deal. He only agreed to it to block even worse protectionist laws from Congress. To understand why, let's rewind. After World War II, America dominated heavy manufacturing. Our factories were modern and untouched, while the world's were in ruins. But by the 1970s, Japan was rising. Toyotas and Hondas flooded in, outcompeting American cars on quality and price. Our auto industry buckled. Congress bailed out Chrysler in 1979 to keep it afloat. Then, in March 1981, the Big Three, GM, Ford, and Chrysler, came to Washington begging for help. Unemployment, inflation, and interest rates were sky high. Reagan's bold budget needed near-unanimous Republican support in a Democrat-controlled House, something unheard of. And with 48 House Republicans having just voted for the Chrysler bailout, trade protectionism threatened to derail everything. Reagan knew he wouldn't sign a tariff bill, but to keep trade out of the budget fight, he made a smart move. He asked Japan for a temporary voluntary cap on auto exports. In return, the automakers backed off. 2 months later, his budget passed, slashing taxes, taming inflation, revitalizing the economy, and helping win the Cold War. Reagan wasn't just any free trader. He proposed a North American free trade zone as a candidate in 1979. His support wasn't about fancy economics, it was about freedom. As he said in a 1988 radio address, open trade policy allows the American people to freely exchange goods and services with free people around the world. Government shouldn't force you to buy something just to prop up someone else, except in rare national security cases. But Reagan was practical. He called that auto deal kissing the pig, a bitter pill for the greater good. He quietly raised the import cap twice because he knew it wasn't helping, and the facts back him up. Protectionists claim the deal benefited America, but it cost consumers $6 billion in 1984 alone, according to the Institute for International Economics. It saved 45,000 jobs at $133,000 per job, over 5 times an auto worker's average pay. Brookings estimated it was even worse, 6 times the wage. They say it spurred foreign investment here. Wrong again. Volkswagen built its first U.S. plant in 1978 before the deal. During the restraint from 1981-1994, foreign auto investment averaged just $671 million a year in today's dollars. After it ended, it skyrocketed to $6.6 billion annually from 1995-2008. What really brought investment? Lower taxes, better regulations, and right-to-work laws, not protectionism. That's why Alabama, which made 0 cars when the deal ended, is now the 5th largest auto producer, thanks to Mercedes, Hyundai, Toyota, and Honda. Unions kept U.S. companies in the Rust Belt, but smart policies built a booming industry in the Sun Belt. American manufacturing output has more than doubled since 1975, the last year we had a trade surplus, thanks to innovation, not walls. Reagan warned us, reject the siren song of protectionism. Don't fall for demagogues declaring trade wars against friends, cynically waving the American flag. The global economy isn't an invasion, it's an American triumph we fought for. In today's debates, remember Reagan's wisdom. Free trade builds prosperity, alliances, and freedom. Let's honor his legacy. Choose open markets, not barriers. Because when America trades freely,